Good morning, Gretchen Ho. We're coming to you on this Friday, the 23rd day of January, bringing you Morning Matters because your mornings matter. Let's get to the stories that matter today. President Marcos revealed he was admitted to the hospital for a stress-related condition linked to his age, but assured the public he has fully recovered. Meanwhile, the political pressure against the administration intensified as additional impeachment filings surfaced at the lower house. DILG Secretary John Vic Remulla says he is eyeing a trip to Portugal to personally investigate Zaldy Co's reported hideaway. He noted that Co is allegedly residing in a high-end estate worth tens of millions of euros. And the manhunt operation for business tycoon Atong Ang continues in connection with the case of missing Sabongeros. However, authorities suggest he may have already fled the Philippines and escaped to Cambodia to hide. Welcome to our program, Morning Matters, where we talk about the issues you need to know for the rest of your day. Now, first on the agenda, former Senator Bong Revilla is to arrive at the Sandiganbayan for his scheduled arraignment and pre-trial. And to give us updates on the ground, we have mobile journalist Arles de los Santos. Magandang umaga sa iyo, Arles. Nasa na ngayon si Senator Bong Revilla? Siya ba ay nasa Sandiganbayan na?
Gretchen, magandang umaga. Nandito na nga si dating Senador Bong Revilla para nga sa kanyang pre-trial at arraignment sa 6th Division ng Sandiganbayan para yan sa kasong malversation and falsification through public documents. Kaugnay nga ng 76 million pesos na umano'y pondo para sa isang base flood control project sa Pandi, Bulacan. Ilang minuto lamang nung dumating itong si Senador Bong Revilla kasama ang kanyang may bahay. Siyempre, nakasunod yan si Representative Lani Mercado. Pero nandito, Gretchen, sa labas, nagpapatuloy yung pagrerally ng mga taga-suporta ni Senador Bong Revilla at kanilang panawagan nga yung patas na paglilitis dahil nga daw sila ay naniniwala na ito ay inosente at walang basehan yung mga reklamo na binibintang sa kanya. So ito yung situation dito, Gretchen. At kasama si Maria sa laban na ito. Kasama sa mga dahilan nila, Gretchen, kung bakit nga naniniwala sila na wala raw kasalanan itong si Senador Bong Revilla dahil ito daw ay wala sa posisyon sa gobyerno ngayon. At kabukod dyan, meron daw kasi itong history ng kaso, do Plunder naman ito, at acquitted daw ang dating senador. Kaya iginigit nila ng inosente ang dating senador na si Revilla.
Oo. Arles, nakita mo ba si Senator Bong Revilla yourself when he transferred? And ano ang demeanor niya?
Gretchen, galing siya sa isang bus, medyo maliit na bus, pero I believe from PJMP. And naka-color yellow na siya. And diretso lang siya na pumasok. Just normally facing straight. And then bigla na pumasok doon sa Sandiganbayan mismo. At hanggang ngayon dito sa paligid natin, tuloy-tuloy pa din yung presensya ng kapulisan para nga sa pagdating dito.
Ano ang inaasahan natin ngayon dyan sa arraignment? Meron bang mga motion din mula sa kampo ni Senator Bong?
Kasama Gretchen sa pag-uusapan. Kasama sa pag-uusapan dito yung motion nga nito ni dating Senador Bong Revilla na ilipat siya ng kulungan. Kung matatandaan kasi natin, itinakda ng Sandiganbayan na doon nga siya makukulong sa Quezon City Jail sa male dormitory sa May Payatas. Pero ang kanilang motion, ang kanilang nais mailipat ito sa PNP detention facility sa Camp Crame. Pero nauna nang nagbigay ng letter itong PNP sa Sandiganbayan na kung maaari daw huwag ilagay sa kanilang kustudiya itong si Revilla dahil marami na daw silang high profile na mga inmates ang ngayon ay kanilang binabantayan. At kung si Revilla daw ay mananatiling nga doon sa kanilang ring pangangalaga at kustudiya, karagdagang seguridad at karagdagang budget daw ang magiging kalalabasan nito. Though ang sinait naman na concern ng kampo ni Revilla ay yung pangambanga sa kaligtasan nito.
Bukod kay Senator Bong, yung ibang akusado, nandyan din ba? Yung apat na sila Bryce Hernandez, JP Mendoza, RJ Dumasig, Juanito Mendoza, pati yung ibang involved dun sa Ghost Flood Control Project sa Bulacan.
Aabangan natin, Gretchen, kung kasama ba sila dyan sa mga darating doon. Dahil nakita natin doon sa schedule so far, ay yung arraignment nga in pre-trial ng Senador Bong Revilla. And kung ano yung iuutos ng korte kung saan mananatili na kustudiya o mapipiit itong dating senador.
Bilang panghuli, Arles, yun nga yung pinangangambahan ng taong bayan na mabigyan ng special treatment, VIP treatment, itong si Senator Bong Revilla. Meron ka bang sense dyan on how he is being treated, saan siya inilagay? Alam natin na nilagay daw siya along with parang the other PDLs. Pero may iba nagsasabi na kumpara pa rin dun sa ibang mga PDL dyan, mas maayos pa rin daw itong selda ni Senator Bong. So, sa pagtatanong mo dyan, anong nababalitaan mo with these arrangements?
At least Gretchen ngayon hindi pa siya nakahalo doon sa general population ng Payatas, doon sa kulungan sa Payatas, sa Quezon City Jail Male Dormitory kasi kailangan niya pang mag-undergo ng yung parang isolation dahil nga ito ay bahagi ng health procedure ng piitan ito dahil daw syempre yung pangamba sa kalusugan at kaligtasan na baka daw makahawa kung mayroon man. Pero kasama niya ngayon yung iba pang kapwa mga akusado na sila Bryce Hernandez at JP Mendoza. Giniit naman ng BJMP na walang special treatment. Kung matatandaan, yung unang araw daw nito ni Senador Bong Revilla doon ay may pagtatangka na magpasok ng mga damit at ng mga gadget. Hindi nila yan pinayagan, in-ensure nila na hindi yan makakapasok. At yung yellow shirt lamang daw ang mga inmates yung susuotin nito. At kabukod pa dyan, 100 pesos din ang magiging meal allowance ng dating senador at kung may mga pagkain man na gusto daw itong kainin, pwede niya lamang kainin extra yung bibit-bitin ng mga madalaw sa kanya.
At saka yung mukhang yung gadgets hindi pinayagan kapasok.
Tama Gretchen. Hindi pinayagan yung mga damit na hindi kulay dilaw at yung mga gadget para nga ipasok doon sa kulungan.
Anong reaksyon ng mga tao dyan sa likod mo? I mean, alam ko nagpaprotesta sila. May pagkagulat ba over what happened? He is currently the first big fish to be officially arrested. At may mga naririnig ka bang pangalan sa mga susunod?
Gretchen, so ito so far yung mga itong mga hawak nila ito. Lalabas din ng katotohanan, we love you and we support you, justice will prevail. And then ito naman sa kabila, siguro mga nasa 20 lamang, hindi kumulang 20 lamang ng mga individual itong dito. Pero hindi ito yung unang beses na may ganitong grupong mga nang dumating din pa sa Senador Bong Revilla. Yung unang beses na umarap siya dito sa Sandiganbayan para sa procedure order or booking ng kanyang pagka-aresto. Merong humigit kumulang 300 na mga residente, mga supporter niya galing Cavite, Parehas actually yung kanilang panawagan. Pero ngayon, ang kaibahan ni Gretchen, nung nakaraan kasi lang sinpansin na parang iisa yung print ng kanilang mga documents. Ito kagaya nito, parang printed na ganyan, iisa yung font at iisa yung size. Pero ngayon, ang kaibahan parang handwritten na yung kanilang mga panawagan, At nakalagay na ito sa yellow paper or sa Manila paper. Though patungkol naman doon sa kung meron pang mga susunod, pangako naman ng Office of the Ombudsman na tuloy-tuloy yung kanilang investigasyon. Gayon din sa ICI sa kanilang mga case recommendation na inaasahan na rin isawite sa mga susunod pang araw.
Okay, maraming salamat sa iyong update mula dyan sa Sandiganbayan. Antabayanan ka namin buong araw as Senator Bong Revilla heads from the Quezon City Jail to the Sandiganbayan for his arraignment and to face charges on corruption charges as well as malversation and graft, I believe. Those are the two main charges against the senator. Maraming salamat for your time. We have mobile journalist Arles de los Santos. And coming right up, Justice Department spokesperson Attorney Polo Martinez joins us to discuss the ongoing cases involving Atong Ang and former Congressman Zaldy Co. Don't go away. Morning Matters will be back after a quick break. Keep it here. Good morning, I'm Gretchen Ho here in Morning Matters. We talk about the most pressing issues and give you the context behind the headlines. As we know, resigned Congressman Zaldy Co is still believed to be in Portugal. Interior Secretary Bong Revilla told One News Story Con that Co is not living in an ordinary house, but reportedly within a gated exclusive village where properties cost upwards of 10 million euros. He added that Co owns the house and is not merely renting. Remulla said he plans to travel to Portugal to personally verify information that former lawmaker Zaldy Co has been reaching out to the Philippine government for possible dialogue. Authorities continue to search for Atong Ang, who is now said to be in Cambodia. DILG Secretary John Remulla said whistleblower Julie Patidongan gave him the information. Remulla also cited reports that Ang set up an online sabong operation in Cambodia, suggesting that he has an established network in the country. Remulla, however, said that he believes Atong Ang is likely still in the Philippines. He added that the government has begun moving to cancel Ang's passport and to freeze his assets.
Reportedly, nagtayo siya atong ng sariling online sabong facility doon. Kaya maraming sa kaibigan at may lugar na siya ron. It is possible but improbable na nakaalis na siya ng bansa. We are not counting it out. At ngayon pa lang, ando doon yung mga PNP intel natin na nag-coordinate sa mga local authorities sa buong Southeast Asia.
Joining us now on the show, we have Attorney Polo Martinez, spokesperson of the Department of Justice. Good morning. Welcome back to the show.
Good morning, Gretchen. Good morning to the viewers.
Attorney, we are having a manhunt left and right. Let's start first with Congressman Zaldy Co, the former congressman. What is DOJ's latest verified information? Would you verify the DILG Secretary's statement that he is living in an exclusive subdivision in Portugal?
Yes, so this is the recent information that we've received. As to whether or not it is true, we have yet to actually confirm this fact, as no one has confirmed reports that he was actually cited in Portugal. What we know, though, is that if ever he is there, we don't have a standing extradition treaty with Portugal. So his retrieval or return to the Philippines will have to be done through different means other than through the normal processes of an extradition. So
that means, what are those processes? Diplomatic relations, Interpol?
that's correct. So we know that a request for red notice has been put out by the PCTC. Other than that, if an extradition cannot be done, as it cannot be because of there's no existing extradition treaty, we have diplomatic means to do so. So we know from the experience with former Congressman Arnie Teves that when he was located in Timor-Leste, notwithstanding the fact that there was no standing extradition treaty, we were able to secure his return or repatriation to the Philippines through coordination with different government agencies as well as with that of the United States government.
And has the Philippine government started communicating with the government of Portugal?
As to the best of my knowledge, we have not yet been communicating with Portugal. The law enforcement agencies have perhaps done their due diligence in seeking the aid of the European Union and countries related to Portugal. But again, it's still in the process. There has been no verified report yet that former Congressman Zaldy Co has been cited actually in Portugal. But everything is in the works.
So you have to first confirm that he is actually there. That's the first step? Or pwede nang simulan? And who would be taking the lead there? Is it the DILG Secretary? Because he is reportedly going to ask for permission to head to Portugal.
Initiatives will have to be started by the DFA. So as it is a foreign affair engagement, the DFA will have to take the prompt, to engage to coordinate with Portugal, the Portuguese government, and Portuguese law enforcement agencies in locating him. And then from there, we can then work for the supposed the claimed repatriation, no. But again, we're walking in thin ice here because we have to be very careful as to not make unfounded allegations as to where he may be. So again, the government is doing its part to coordinate with the different agencies to pursue this search.
But what is taking long? Because that's already a tip, right? So dapat pinapursue na. At pangalawa, no, is there room for negotiation here for the camp of Congressman Zaldy Co? He is reportedly sending feelers, sabi nga ni Secretary Remulla. Is there room for that, knowing that he refused initially to come back home because he was afraid for his life?
I guess ito yung mahirap dito, no? With the reports of disposed feeders have not been verified as well. It's hard to work with evidence that is, well, for the most part, has not yet been proven. No, then the evidence, as far as we know, is just currently what word of mouth has been saying or been going around. So, as up until such time, no, Gretchen, I think the answer to your question, what's taking so long, is up until such time that these claims can be verified or that there's evidence to back these claims up. It's hard to work with just that saying or these statements going around alone.
But certainly reaching out wouldn't take so much time, di ba? Reaching out to the Portuguese government to ask for help in somehow even just locating.
Well, that's the department, that's the DFA's prerogative at this point. No, we have yet to coordinate with the DFA with respect to this. But as far as we know, no information has arrived to the Department of Justice that will confirm that he is in Portugal.
Are you hearing of any other locations?
This is it. Portugal is the only place we received info on. So we'll look into that. The DOJ can work as soon as the DFA or any other government agency, such as the PCTC, for example, has the request for red notice has been accepted. So once we have received that information, we can then work on securing what evidence they may be giving to us.
Now let's go to the other missing man. That's Charlie Atong Ang. What was the latest on his whereabouts? Is he in Cambodia? Is he still in the Philippines? Ano yung mas maugong?
Okay, so first, I think we have to reiterate the department's stand, no, that we still believe and we are confident that he is still in the Philippines. This is because the Bureau of Immigration itself has given notice to us that there are no existing records of him ever leaving the country. That's not to discount, of course, the possibility that he may have exited the country through other channels. Whether or not that's true, we have no information because the law enforcement agencies who have been closely guarding the areas where he may have exited did not receive information or did not receive reports that anything out of the ordinary has been occurring in these areas. No, so as far as we're concerned, it is very likely that he is still here. Although just to echo the SILG John Vic Remulla, we do not discount the possibility that he may have exited. But again, it's in the works. It's in the process.
And I just wanted to build the timeline here. No, since when has he been missing exactly? Kasi yung paglabas ng arrest warrant, hinanap na siya, wala na siya. Are you getting more information on that and the possible leakage of information? Have you been able to build the timeline of Atong Ang's whereabouts?
Well, the fact that he is currently missing, no, just comes after the fact of the attempt to arrest him, the enforcement of the warrant. So it was only at such time that the warrant was issued and law enforcement did seek him that it was found na nawawala nga siya. So because before then, the government would not have any initiative or would not have had any basis to locate him. So we know this. We know that he is currently missing. He is currently declared a fugitive from justice by the sole fact that he is evading prosecution, and that we know because, well, if he did not intend to evade, then he would show himself, knowing with the public notice that there is a warrant out against him, not just one but two, by two different courts. And so what we can work with right now is what the law provides us. What are these? Well, of course, there is the motion to cancel his passport, which is also in the works and is to be filed by the panel of prosecutors with the respective courts where the case is pending.
To limit his movement. But I asked that question because CIDG Chief Police Colonel John Giaki has mentioned that alam at pinaghandaan ni Atong Ang yung paglabas ng arrest warrant. And so we do know that in this case, there may have been or there is alleged involvement of the police and close relations between Atong Ang and the police. And PNP is looking into that, right? But so my question is, how do you contain this manhunt, the information around it, to make sure that he doesn't keep escaping each time the police does look for him in a specific location?
Okay, so the challenge there is there really isn't anything that well, insofar as the law enforcement agencies are concerned, no, they can only work within what's at their disposal and with the information that's been being given to them, with the resources that they have. If we could just backtrack, I think tama sinabi mo, no, na in many ways na timbrehan siya, so to speak. Why? Because well, if you would the timeline of this case, if you just look back at it, is the resolution for his a judgment as being that the judgment that there was prima facie evidence with reasonable certainty of conviction that he did commit kidnapping with homicide and kidnapping and serious illegal detention. That resolution came way before the information was filed in court. It took some time. There was a gap in between. So he knew as soon as the resolution came out that warrants of arrest were to be forthwith issued by the courts once information was filed.
And so bakit hindi siya binantayan agad at that point?
Well, kasi syempre, until the warrants of arrest were issued, diba, hindi pa siya mahahabol eh. In so far as bakit hindi siya binantayan, well, binantayan siya, just to be clear. Binantayan in the form of what resources we have. So, for example, the Bureau of Immigration was steadily and properly monitoring any possible record that he may be leaving the country. So wala naman nakita as to possible backdoor channels he may be exiting through. Binantayan din naman yun, no? So that is why we are confident that he is still here. Kasi wala kami nakita that could lead to any possibility or to any at least conclusive reason that he has exited the country. So wala talaga eh. That's why we're saying he's still here. The fact that we're considering that he may have left the country is just that margin, no, the small margin that or of course we cannot be too certain. Yun lang naman yun. So I think what the government should spend on and should really focus on, the department believes that it is to focus on looking at his current and past addresses. Whatever lead is available to us here locally, whatever information lead is available to us within our own jurisdiction.
So he is going to be charged with kidnapping, with homicide and kidnapping. No? From the DOJ standpoint, have you been able to piece together now if there was a pattern of this happening? Bakit homicide lang? Bakit hindi murder? At pangalawa, no, yung 34 missing sa Bongeros, is that an isolated incident? Or has that been going on throughout the years? Is there a pattern of violence, in short, linked to Mr. Atong Ang? And is he the mastermind?
Mm. So as to the first question, kidnapping with homicide, bakit hindi murder? The kidnapping with homicide is a complex crime that encompasses, that subsumes even the act of murder. Okay, hindi naman basta na just because it's just really the nomenclature of the crime. Tinatawag siyang kidnapping with homicide. That's not to say that murder was not committed, because we know that murder is committed when there was evident premeditation, where qualifying circumstances accompany that of the crime of killing someone. So pasok naman yan, no? Kidnapping with homicide is just the technical nomenclature, just to be clear. As to whether or not there was a serious violent, if there was a pattern, well, we can only speak insofar as what the resolution tells us. And there was a background, a history as to how this whole um, uh, controversy began, as to what overt acts were present at the start of the controversy. So I think the resolution should speak regarding the history of this fact.
And so how does the DOJ and the PNP plan to tighten the search for Atong Ang? Is it correct that there's possible involvement of 4 retired generals? Are you getting that information?
That's within. I guess that would have. I would have to defer to the DILG for that matter, as it is the governing agency with respect to law enforcement. I'm pretty sure, I'm certain that even the leadership of the NBI is doing its internal investigation on whether or not these allegations are true. But I think the department would always stand by the position that we have to tread carefully. We cannot accept any and all information that is being thrown around. Everything has to be verified, because at the end of the day, the rule of law demands that you have to back up what you say. No? And any allegations din kasi with respect to anomalous acts being performed by our own government officials should be looked into with care and attention to what the evidence backs that up, like I said.
Yun nga lang, because of the prudence being applied here by government, nalulusutan tayo. So it is also a race against time in looking for these persons of interest, right? But I want to go to because we don't have a lot of time left now. I want to go to another topic, which is the flood control probe. Several suspects have already been included into the witness protection program as state witnesses. That's Henry Alcantara, Roberto Bernardo, among others. What was the trade-off for this? We understand that certain details must be kept confidential, but what can you tell us about what they have committed to reveal and what government has committed to them?
So, okay, just to be clear, generally speaking, the state witnesses have to tell all. Syempre, yun yung commitment that they agreed to. They have to tell everything they know. They have to disclose every little detail that has come to them based on since the start of their participation in this whole scheme. As to what these are, I'm afraid that is something we cannot disclose by virtue of the confidentiality provision of the WPSB law, which is the Protection, Securities, and Benefits Act, that says that any and all matters within the proceedings or within the memorandum of agreement that the parties have executed cannot be disclosed. And this is also to protect, syempre, the integrity of the proceedings to be done before the courts and that are currently pending before the panel of prosecutors in the DOJ. So, tell all lang talaga yon. I guess that's as far as I can say,
Was the refusal to cooperate from Bryce Hernandez and JP Domasig? Just wondering why they were not on that list.
We know that the reason that they're not on the list is just the fact that they weren't qualified. They were not qualified. Yun lang naman yun. No? As to why they were not qualified, well, syempre, the WPP and its directors judged their qualifications based on the criteria set out by the law, which was there absolute necessity for their testimonies? Can their testimonies be corroborated in its material points? So these are the things, these are the criteria that we're looking into, and it appears the WPP has stated, as well as the Prosecutor General has stated that upon assessment of their testimonies, they did not fit the criteria or satisfy the conditions to be state witnesses.
And what are the other developments in the pursuit of the other flood control projects? Alam natin na hindi lang iisa o dalawa ito, talagang marami, no? I know that the DOJ is in charge of handling personnel up to a certain salary grade. And so what's the latest? Meron pa ba tayong aasahan na upcoming arrests o mailalabas na desisyon?
Hindi. So even though now we're only working, you're correct in saying that the jurisdiction of the DOJ to investigate these cases is limited by the salary grade of below 27. Kasi above salary grade 27, salary grade 27 and above is within the jurisdiction of the ombudsman. But we remember that the DOJ and its panel and its prosecutors were deputized by the ombudsman to look into these cases. So kung may maasahan pa tayo, yes. Just to do a bit of a recap, we know that there was the initial batch of cases, and 5 cases in particular related to Sims Construction Trading. And then following that, there was a second batch of cases, 6 naman, so that's 5 plus 6 cases. The second batch of 6 cases were regarding or pertaining to Wow Construction and Top Notch Catalyst Builders as a contractor, involving also a number of high-profile individuals, one of whom is Senator Joel Villanueva, who currently has 3 cases pending with the DOJ under preliminary investigation. And then after that, we had the third batch of cases. Ito yung what we deem and what I think the public deems as high-profile, high-value cases na plunder. So again, as I've mentioned earlier, there are a lot of moving parts. A lot of things in the works. The short answer to the question is, can we expect? Yes, of course. Marami pa tayong aabangan na investigation and resolution.
I guess we shall await that and hopefully hindi tayo matakasan and we'll get this done in time. In the meantime, maraming salamat for updating us from the side of the Department of Justice. We have Attorney Polo Martinez, spokesperson of the DOJ. And up next, a closer look at the impeachment cases against President Bongbong Marcos. Political scientist Professor Antonio Contreras weighs in on the issues. When Morning Matters returns, keep it here at One News. Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Matters here in One News. President Bongbong Marcos is now in stable condition after being hospitalized Wednesday night due to diverticulitis, an inflammation or infection of small pouches in the colon. Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said the president was placed under medical observation as a precaution after experiencing discomfort and was advised to rest and continue monitoring. In a video statement, Marcos said he is feeling fine and that the problem has been resolved. He has since returned to Malacanang and continues to carry out his duties but will no longer push through with his planned visit to Ilocos Norte today. As we know, 2 impeachment complaints against President Bongbong Marcos were attempted to be filed at the House of Representatives yesterday. Now, the first was submitted by the Bagong Alyansang Makabayan and was endorsed by the 3-member Makabayan bloc. Now, in their complaint, the group accused Marcos of betrayal of public trust anchored on allegations of corruption stemming from the flood control scandal. Another group led by former Congressman Mike Defensor and former Ilocos Sur Governor Chavit Singson submitted a third impeachment complaint against President Marcos. The group charged Marcos with alleged culpable violation of the Constitution, betrayal of public trust, graft and corruption, and other high crimes. However, neither complaint was received by the Office of the Secretary General because House Secretary General Sheloy Garafil is currently overseas. With us now, we have political scientist Antonio Contreras to help us weigh in on the latest developments. Magandang umaga sa inyo, Professor.
Magandang umaga, Gretchen.
Okay, so again, that piece of news has set down the facts. No, 2 more impeachment complaints against the president were attempted to be filed against the president yesterday. One from Makabayan Bloc, another from the group of Mike Defensor and Chavit Singson and Ferdy Topacio. Yet the House Section was not present, and the 2 groups were saying that their complaints were somehow blocked. Looking at the first at the strength of the first impeachment complaint, do you share that observation that the first complaint was a weak one designed to thwart any impeachment attempt against the president? How do you read all of these movements?
Well, of course, first of all, let us just agree that the impeachment is the citizen's right. We have a right to do that, to hold the president accountable. And so the issue of whether it has grounds is a different matter for us to discuss. Now, on the fact that the first complaint is a weak complaint, that remains to be seen. Although I may agree with that statement, that is for the Justice Committee to determine, of the Justice Committee of the House. Now, in terms of the two complaints not being received, that is where I'm kind of uncomfortable because, even if the Secretary General was not there, they just have to receive it. The office, what was referred to is the office of the Secretary General. So even if the Secretary General is not there, it should have been received and stamped, at the very least, So I don't know why. Because if we're going to do that, then they were going to set a precedent. All the OSG has to do is to just be absent and not be in her office. And then that's it.
Yun nga po yung kinakatwiran nitong mga grupo na according to the rules, we complied already. Basta binigay namin sa opisina, it doesn't have to be the Secretary General herself. No? So we have yet to see what's the real deal here. But three impeachment complaints have been filed against the President. Do you think there is more vigor going in that direction? Parang wala pa ho dito sa Vice Presidente, no?
Well, the Vice President is going to, in February 6 is the date to watch in terms of the Vice President because there's a one-year bar. Now, in terms of kung meron pang susunod na mga complaints sa Presidente, well, hindi naman padamihan yan. It's not how many you file. It's basically on the rule of whether they have grounds, and number two, whether there's a bar if placed on the second and the third because of the first complaint. And right now, I don't see that happening kasi the first complaint it was just referred to the speaker, and the second and the third complaint, while they were not received by Monday, OSG Garafil would be in the office, so that's going to be received. And if it's going to be transmitted to the speaker, you see what will set the initiation. From what I know is that it's not whether it is received by the office of the Secretary General, whether it's received by the office of the Speaker. It has to go to the plenary first. It has to be part of the order of business. And it has to be the plenary who will refer it to the Justice Committee. So marami pang tatakbuhin ito. So yung Justice Committee, pag na-refer na doon, and then that's the time that the initiation is perfected. So that's where you now count the clock. So if I think that there's just too much overreaction right now on whether the first was filed to bar, effectively bar the second and the third.
No, you're right to point out na February 6 pa, gugulong dahil sa one-year bar. I guess siguro the message is kumalma muna, no? Kasi hindi pa naman, parang simula pa lang ito. We have yet to see how these complaints will be dealt with, how they will actually be consolidated. But how do you think that will go? Do you think magkakaroon ho ng problema dito, especially with the Supreme Court not yet responding to the MR on its ruling on the Vice President's impeachment complaint? Kasi pag nakakausap namin, sabi nila, susundan lang. Kumbaga parang, hindi lang uupuan ng SecGen, hindi sila mag-archive because in the first ruling of the SC, they deemed that any action already initiates that process.
Well, I think, Gretchen, I think the House will be now more careful in how to deal with a complaint against the President so that hindi na maulit yung nangyari sa complaint kay Vice President. Two things. Yung kay Vice President, dahil meron ng desisyon at may motion for reconsideration, if the Supreme Court issues a reconsideration, for example, before February 6, all the Senate has to do is to continue the trial. That's it. But if it is denied, then all the complainants will have to do is to refile the complaint on February 6. So that's for the Vice President. And it opens up other complaints to also be filed. Pag ma-deny yung MR. Pag ma-deny yung MR, pwede nang magsimula sa February 6 at pwede pang dumagdag ang mga complainants. But ang deeper, yung sa presidente naman, yung sabi ko, I think mag-ingat na sila ngayon na hindi na maulit yung nangyaring inupuan, yung 3 complaints at hanggang sa nagkaroon ng problema sa constitutionality. But I think the deeper problem here, Gretchen, is that we are now entering a period where we might have 2 impeachment complaints being heard for the top 2 officials of the land. The President and the Vice
right?
President. I don't know whether this is going to be good for the country. I know impeachment is a right of the citizen to hold our officials accountable. But I am now uncomfortable with the fact that you might end up being consumed by this. When in fact there are other things that we need to look into, the corruption accusations and the flood control, the challenges of a country that we need to deal with economically. I think this is something that might use up a lot of time. Imagine the Senate has a lot of things to do and then you have 2 complaints. So saan pa nila ilalagay ang trabaho nilang ordinaryo kung matutuloy ito? Imagine, dalawang complaint ang dinidig sa House, magkakaroon pa yan ng hearing sa Justice Committee, iakyat pa yan sa Senate. Ano pang oras ang i-devote nila sa kanilang trabaho? So yun ang dito. Kaya kailangan nating tingnan, ano ba yung grounds? Kasi dito, sa pagsusuri ko, yung grounds kasi for the President, we have talked a lot about the grounds for the Vice President, so I'm not going to touch on that anymore. But for the President, my analysis is that these are things, although I respect the right of those who filed, these are things that the President actually, it's more of guilt by association. For example, yung allocable na sinasabi. Ang allocable is a planning ledger. Many people misunderstand it. No money has yet been released. So when you're going to use the allocable as the basis, allocable is hindi pa WH. It takes a leap of faith to believe that the President directly ordered DPWH of the allocable system. Yung unprogrammed allocation naman, na sinasabi na appropriation, this is Congress doing it. It is Congress. So it's going to be a bit odd that you're going to hold the President accountable for things that the Congress did or failed to do. Parang sila yung mag-impeach, sila din yung mag-judge. Sila nga yung, unang-una, sila yung na-involve sa allocable dahil pumunta sa kanila yung ganung klase. Sila yung mga humihingi ng allocation sa DPWH. At pagdating naman sa unprogrammed appropriation, sila din naman ang nag-approve noon. And then the thing is, what the impeachment is being saying is that the President was on top of all of this. But
unprogrammed appropriations actually ballooned under the time of President Marcos.
Yes,
at nasa jurisdiction po yun ng executive to release that unprogrammed appropriations.
You have to understand that unprogrammed, there is no determination yet that unprogrammed appropriation right now is unconstitutional. We don't have that yet right now. Unprogrammed appropriation, even if it ballooned, is part of the General Appropriations Act approved by Congress. Now, if you're faulting the President for not vetoing it, then that's a different matter. But it is just a constitutional duty. Wala pa naman nagsasabi ng unprogrammed appropriation unconstitutional. So what is the culpable violation of the Constitution there? So I think what we're going to now see is that the impeachment trial, people would like it to be also the venue for determining the constitutionality of something. But that is not the job of the impeachment court.
Yes.
To determine the constitutionality of an program. It should be the Supreme Court who should be doing that.
So para po sa inyo, medyo flimsy po itong
Yes.
impeachment complaints against the President. How about the Vice President? Do you think that has a chance of proceeding? Or
we have
magkokontrapelo po ito
Well,
because of impeachment fatigue of some sorts?
The difference is that in the case of the Vice President, the cases that are being to which she was being implicated or accused are clear crimes. Like when you are spending wrongly the public funds, okay, which is the confidential funds, and then you are publicly threatening the President, the life of the Speaker, in openly. That's already a crime. So may connection agad. Ito sa Presidente, they're saying that meron siyang ginawa dahil yung allocable, pinayagan niya, hindi pa nga natin alam kung allocable ay illegal o illegal. Na yung unprogrammed appropriation, pinayagan niya, hindi pa nga natin alam kung unconstitutional yon. So, you are not trying to use the impeachment process as a venue to litigate the constitutionality of something. And then, doon mo rin sasabihin na na-violate yung constitution. That is not the way it should work. It must be first be established that the crime is there. and the impeachable official has committed that crime. Here, yung crime hindi pa nga alam eh. Kasi wala pang determination ang korte o wala pa naman determination ng Supreme Court na ang UA ay unconstitutional.
Let's take a closer look at the impeachment complaints against the president, no? Beyond the legalities. The pro-Duterte group and the Makabayan bloc were the ones who filed these complaints. From your perspective, is that as far as the meeting of minds will go? Or is there a possibility here that there will be some sort of a tactical alliance between the two groups?
Well, of course, there is always the fear that there is a history of tactical alliance, remember. The militant left was part of the Duterte administration at the beginning, right? You have to recall that there are members of the militant left who are appointed members of the cabinet. So it's very easy for people to suspect that these two are working together. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt because many things have happened already. So what you are seeing, however, is the politics of vengeance. The politics of holding people not necessarily accountable because of what they did, but because of political agenda. That's what I think. Although the impeachment is a political process, it could be a partisan, it could be weaponized in a partisan way. But I think we should also bear in mind the fact that what is really the motivation behind this? Is it really to correct? Is it really to hold the president accountable because of what he has done? Or is it really to push certain agenda that would benefit one party or the other? Or is it really just para manggulo? You know, and I think if it is the latter, I think I would like to appeal to people to really be rational and look into this, and it includes us, media, and the commentators, to really make sure that we are governed by reason and contributing less to the noise. Because right now, I'm afraid that we will be consumed by this for the next months. If kung sabay ito, may imagine mo, ano ang gagawin ng Senado? Sabay na hearing, pang umaga si Presidente, pang hapon si Vice Presidente, ano pang gagawin nila?
Where does this put the side of the Marcoses and the Pinks, though? Does this put them in the same uncomfortable corner?
Well, I think the Pinks and the Yellows are a bit, clear now. They're on the sidelines. I think they will be very active in the Duterte impeachment. But in the case of the Marcos, I don't see any movement on their part. Okay, di ba kasi parang ano to? Ang nangyari ngayon, as resulta din to ng mga rallies noon, saan to yung alam mo yung I think it's the Luneta crowd, the militant left, and then
yun
the other one who went
doon nga
to
po yung division.
Sila yung pumupunta dito sa impeachment ni Pangulong Marcos, pero yung naandun sa EDSA parang wala ngayon sa picture. I think that's and so that goes to my point na ang impeachment tuloy nagiging very partisan. Nagiging partisan weapon na siya. Ginagamit na siyang weapon to settle partisan scores. Which is kind of not good.
Instead of an instrument of accountability. Nagagamit lang for political noise. But former Senator Sonny Trillanes has gone another way. He has gone to the Office of the Ombudsman to file plunder and graft charges against the Vice President. Yesterday, we had him on the show. He was citing that he had evidence on billions of funds disallowed by COA. Meron din po sa DepEd. Meron po nung time niya as Davao City Mayor. What role could that case or before the Ombudsman play here? Could it somehow strengthen the impeachment complaint against the Vice President? Could it take out the Vice President from running in 2028? Gaano kahalaga po tignan yun, yung movement na yun?
I think it's going to be mutually reinforcing, but these are two different venues. The ombudsman complaint is a criminal case, and while the impeachment process is a numbers process, it's a numbers game. So yung ginawa ni former Senator Trillanes is of course welcome, because when you go to the ombudsman, it's longer, the process is longer, but it's a game of evidence. It's basically the rules of court that's going to be applying more there. In the case of the impeachment process, it's going to be a political theater. It's going to be political showdown. I don't know whether the numbers game has changed already. in the Senate, whether realignments have happened, but we don't know. So hindi naman hindi magkukumpit yung dalawang yan. Sa tingin ko makakatulong pa nga sa kaso, sa impeachment, yung kaso ni Senator Trillanes.
But he himself has said na this remains untested whether an impeachable official could face a criminal case against him or her. Parang walang nagsasabi sa konstitusyon na bawal kasuhan yung vice president, but naging practice na hindi kasuhan. So kung sakasakali, ito po ay magiging una ho.
Well, the ombudsman can investigate. Iba kasi yung pagpa-file ng case. The complaint by Senator Lacson to the ombudsman is a signal for the ombudsman to do its own investigation. So pwede mo na malusutan yan kasi pwede mo namang gawin yung investigasyon na, mag-gather ka na ng evidence, and then saka mo na lang siya sampa ng kaso pag hindi na siya presidente. So maybe siguro in readiness of vice president. So siguro magko-complement yan pag sakaling ma-impeach si Sara Duterte. Then right there and then pwedeng isampa na siya ng kaso kung mayroong probable cause. Ganun ang binagbabawal lang naman ng Constitution, Gretch, is to file a case in court. And that is not even clear because from my reading is it's only the president who is, you couldn't file a complaint against the president. There
As immunity from suit.
But the Constitution is silent on the vice president.
But do you think this is a stronger route for those who want to hold the vice president accountable? Ito sa ombudsman.
It is necessary, I think. It is necessary to provide some objective basis for taking a person, holding them accountable. Kasi pag sa impeachment nga kasi, quasi-judicial yung process, the rules of evidence of court is not that much followed. It's and the determination of guilt or innocence is based on political alliances. Then at least the kind of the quality of the investigation, the level of evidence required, and the process, the robustness, the rigor of the process, in the ombudsman will be different. It will provide some sense of a balance.
Okay, now you already touched on this, no? The numbers game over at the Senate. We had Senator Franklin Drilon yesterday here on the show. At sabi po niya that the minority making that move to release its own report ahead of the Blue Ribbon Committee report is a signal. If they do get the numbers to pass that in plenary, then there might be a leadership change. What are you seeing here in the Senate over what's been happening, the standoff between the party of Senator Ping Lacson and the party of Senator Amy Marcos, Bato, Bongo, Rodante, Marcoleta?
Well, I agree to some extent on the statement of former Senator Drilon about the fact that the so-called minority report is simply a form of disrespect. It is out of order. But what I disagree is that it's going to determine the future of the alignments. This is a minority report coming from the minority itself. And in fact, I question its legitimacy. Bakit ka magma-minority report? Wala pa nga majority report. Para magkakaroon ka ng dissenting opinion, wala pa nga ang opinion ang pagbobotohan dyan, yung report ng committee. If you're going to look at the process in the Senate, there's a committee, the Blue Ribbon Committee. It's going to come up with a report. And that is going to be voted upon. There is no minority report that is going to be calendared because that's not normal in the Senate process. So I think all of this is for show. Right now, of the 9 members of the minority, only 6 signed. So it's
kulang pa rin.
And you have to understand that in order for the impeachment for the realignment, there has to be 13 members of the Senate who is going to vote out Senator Soto. So
Pero hindi mo mahirap makuha yung mga numero na yan because sabi nga din ni Senator Drilon yesterday, si Alan Peter Cayetano is in the minority, Pia Cayetano is in the majority. And of course, if it were her brother that's going to be Senate President, imposible naman na hindi na hindi siya lumipat doon. Pero do you think that the Senate leadership is in danger? I mean, they put Senator Ping Lacson back to head the Blue Ribbon Committee, right? After removing him, they put him back there.
Well, everything is always possible in the Senate. Those are 24 individual republics with one absent right now. Senator Bato, na hindi natin nakikita kung nasaan. So, but they can do what they want to do provided that they have the numbers. But I wish they don't do that now. Ang dami ng gulong nangyayari sa bansa natin. Para ang dami nating panahon para magawa ng mga ganyan and dami-dami natin kailangang bigyan ng solusyon. So, I think, and people are already, getting impatient. The people I'm talking to right now in my everyday, conversations are also pissed. They're saying what is happening to the political system. It's a lot of noise. When in fact he should have his reason. Because there are so many things that are being misinterpreted right now. For example, we are spending a lot of time demonizing what allocables are. But if we're going to just use reason, allocable is a planning ledger. When you're doing planning and budgeting, that's what you do. You itemize what is possible amounts that will be allocated per item or per district. And then yung allocable, yan yung parang magiging ballpark figure mo. And then sa iba kasi yan, hindi yan na-release. Ang dapat pinagkakaabalahan natin, paano maginastos yung inallocate. That is where corruption comes. We're spending so much time demonizing labels. Nauna yung insertion, na parang pag nag-insert ka ng funds, masama ka na. Until we pointed out that insertion is just a form of an amendment. Ang dapat isipin mo ngayon, kinikbak ba yung insertion na yan? Ngayon, wala ng insertion, allocable naman yun ang pinagdidiskitahan. At ngayon, pinagdidiskitahan ang program appropriation na hanggang sa ngayon, wala pa namang ruling ng Supreme Court na unconstitutional. And it is something that is have always been there, and there are triggers to it. It's almost like a contingency fund. And then, of course, you and I know, Gretchen, when you are planning a project, you always have a contingency fund, right?
Correct.
So, it is something that people should explain more. But unfortunately, people who should be doing that, like congressmen and senators, are contributing to the confusion. Kami naman mga political scientists who studying it, we need to speak up more. So because these are things that, if only properly explained, can minimize the toxicity in the air.
Are you referring to Congressman Leandro Leviste?
Well, yeah. Basically, I'm kind of fond of him already. He seems every day either he's in press conference or he's being interviewed. As if and saying the same thing over and over again. So I don't know. Maybe it's something that bakit ba? Ang pinakita niya planning documents eh.
At nilabas niya na ho yung mga numero, pero kulang pa ho dyan. Yung putting it in its proper context.
Parang ang nilabas yung rough draft nung NEP. Ano yun? Evidence na ba yun ng corruption? Dahil merong inilagay si Cabral na 2 bilyon sa distrito mo? Ang evidence ng corruption doon, paano ginaso? Napapunta pa sa 2 bilyon? Yung 2 billion ba yun talaga nakuha mo? At yun ba'y ginastos na masama? Dapat yun ang pinagtututukan. Pero right now, people are so consumed that because this congressman has 3 billion earmark, corrupt na siya. That is a big leap.
I think people are looking for stability and somebody to anchor on with all of this political noise. Thank you for helping us sift through that political noise and making it loud and clear
it's
for
my
us.
pleasure.
Maraming salamat po sa inyong oras, your time and insight, political scientist Antonio Contreras. Thank you for coming here on Morning Matters today. And that wraps up today's episode. We hope we've given you the right start to your morning. Let's go ahead and make the day and the weekend matter. My name is Gretchen Ho, kapatid. We are One News, all sides, all the time.